Now, new Innova is always a big deal, but probably the shift has never been as significant as we are seeing with this, the Toyota Innova Hycross. So let's get right down to it to see what's exactly changed in this walk-around video. Now, the Innova Hycross is 20 mm wider and longer than the car it replaces. And when you look at it, it's still recognizably an Innova, although there's quite a bit more of an SUV-ish kind of character to it. And you see that with this large grille, which now mimics Toyota's global models, say like the RAV4 and the Highlander. These LED light signatures are now slimmer, and you have this large wide air dam. And the Indian model specifically gets these silver inserts to sort of brighten up the face a bit more. Now, even when you see the Toyota Innova Hycross in profile, you notice how much of that SUV-ish character has been added to it. And you see that with the creased bonnet, the creased bodywork, especially along the rear haunch. And you also see these large 18-inch wheels that have been added. Of course, functionally, there's still 185 mm of ground clearance, and the approach and departure angles remain intact. They're the same as before, considering that the overhangs have now been reduced. Now, even at the rear, there's more SUV styling themes. So that flat, simple bootlet from earlier is gone. And you have this sloping windscreen here now, which gives it again more of an SUV-ish character. And you see that with these tail lamps also. Again, they mimic Toyota's global SUVs, again like the Highlander and RAV4 in the design. And of course, as feature loaded as this car is, you get a powered tailgate now. Now, when you fully fold these third row seats down, you get 991 liters, which is quite significant. But even with this row of seats up, you realize that there is quite a bit of space. As usual, the spare wheel sits underneath in the bodywork. And this is how you fold down the seats. So it's a much simpler mechanism now compared to earlier. So there's more practicality here too with the Hycross. Now, the biggest shift with this generation of the Innova is that it's no longer rear-driven or ladder frame. It's now based on the TNGA front-driven architecture, and you only get petrol and a hybrid option. Now, the petrol motor makes 174 PS, and the strong hybrid makes 186 PS. Of course, there are many variants to choose from, and 7- and 8-seater options. Now, as you've seen from the outside, the Innova Hycross is much more upmarket, much more contemporary, and that is fully apparent when you sat inside the new MPV as well. For example, just look at the design, it's much more contemporary, the materials, the finishes, while they're same, that typically hard-wearing, almost robust quality that you expect in a Toyota. The general design has become much more SUV-like again. You also sit in a more SUV-like position. And then there is the massive list of features. Now, the Innova was always known to be a bit stingy with the features it offered, but that's no longer the case anymore. To start with, you get powered seats, ventilated seats, paddle shifters, this quite crisp 7-inch digital display. Of course, the dials for the power and the fuel level are analog, but the display itself is quite crisp. And then there's the center stack, where you see that you now get ventilated seats, you get dual zone air conditioning for the front and for the rear. You get this quite smart dash mounted gear shifter, where you have the 360-degree camera, you have auto hold, you have a powered parking brake, and then the drive modes for the hybrid system. Of course, you have the EV mode and the power mode and so on. And then you notice that you have USB Type-C and Type-A chargers, this large glove box, cup holders. The seats themselves, they're done up in this soft, quite nice feeling leather. You have auto headlamps and wipers, and ambient lighting too. Of course, then there's that massive panoramic sunroof as well. Now, the second row is the most important place in an Innova, and with the new architecture, there's 100 mm added to the wheelbase. So you can see there's quite a bit of knee room now, much more than the earlier car maybe. You can, like before, slide these seats, but with the Hycross, things have moved on quite a bit from there. Not only that, you have this ottoman feature which is powered, so you can get this footrest up this way. Although a flaw is that the battery pack sits underneath the front seats. So if you're a taller adult, maybe your feet won't have as much space as they otherwise would earlier. And even the seat back is now powered. And then there's this center sort of storage space which is foldable for the cup holders. And then of course you have two USB-C ports, the controls for the rear climate control, and the sunroof here as well, and these AC vents are now on the side. Again, if you're taller, you might find that the headroom is a bit lacking compared to the older car. But yeah, things here too have moved on significantly from earlier. And just to show you that, you can get a sunshade. Now this is what the third row is like in the Innova Hycross. Now the seat itself, it's a bit higher up. You still sit in a knees up position, but just not as much as before. And Toyota says there's space here for 3. You get a third headrest, you get a third pair of seat belts, but honestly, the 3 people who will sit here will be largely children, but for 2 adults, it's fine. However, and you can still slide the front seat, but the great feature the earlier Innova had of it tumbling and folding, which made access to the third row so easy, that's gone. Now it's a bit more fiddly now to get in. The seat back reclines to a fair few angles, if you notice. So it's at a comfortable angle now. And yes, you have not too much headroom, but enough for maybe smaller adults, because the sunroof doesn't extend right up to the end. You get a power outlet here, and you get storage pockets for your drinks and a small cubby here as well. Now bookings have already begun for the Innova Hycross and deliveries begin mid-Jan. So what do you think about it? It continues to be sold alongside the diesel Crysta. So would you pick this or the older diesel one? Let us know in the comments.